Benvenuti a Viterbo, a hidden gem in the Lazio region of Italy, where ancient walls surround a town rich with Roman history, thermal springs, and Renaissance charm. But this weekend, the scent of tradition is replaced by the smell of race fuel as the cobblestones give way to curbs, and the old world calm is shattered by the thunder of OK and OKJ kart engines. Viterbo may be known for its popes and palaces, but for the champions of the future, it is all about those pole positions and those podiums. The Leopard Circuit Viterbo opening in 2025. It is a modern circuit here. Event record set by Scott Marsh with a 51.403. That was done in time qualifying earlier on this week. No one has been able to get close to those times. A closer look at the circuit itself, though. It is not the longest track in the world, just shy of 1,300 meters. It's 165 meters down the start-finish straight, 170 down the infield straight in towards turn number 12. It's around 9 to 10 meters wide, with a 6-meter elevation change from the lowest part of the circuit at turn 1 to the highest at turn number 10. And that brings us very appropriately onto the turns itself. There are 16 of them in total, 10 to the right and the 6 to the left. It is a fast and flowing circuit for the drivers to go racing on. Every single one of those corners is a challenge. There are tight hairpins, there are the long straights, there's fast sweeping, there's cambered corners as well at turn 13. But the overtaking opportunities, we see them quite often down in towards turn 1, turn 5, 12, 13, 14 and 15, the exit of that snail section, as I'm going to call it, as they exit out onto that final corner. Top speeds, they'll be reaching that in 2 separate places on the circuit. We enter the braking zone at turn number 1 and down into the hairpin at turn 12, around about 121 kilometers an hour for the seniors, averaging around 90 kilometers around the entirety of the circuit. Myself, Anthony Jordan, and Andrew Mather in the commentary box. Andrew, yesterday was a busy day. Today, the sun is shining as Superheats are about to take to the track.
Another beautiful day here in Italy. Welcome everybody to finals day for round 3 of Champions of the Future 2025. And what should be a really intriguing story across the course of the 6 races that we've got here today. Both championships, both classes, have an 8-point difference between first and second. Plenty of points up for grabs here today as we reach the midpoint of the season. And we'll start with the first of the Superheats, OK Junior, heading out first, Anthony, for Superheat A.
Indeed, and it will start with that man there on your screen, Dan Aleman of Switzerland. He'll be starting this one on the front row of the grid. And, well, looking at that shot there, and it looks to me like he may have switched sides of the grid. Now, I've said this before and I was completely wrong, but I'm pretty certain that the 17 and 35 are on the opposite sides of the grid there.
Well, we'll see in due course. We have seen Dan Aleman try this strategy before, but let's repeat back to yesterday and what his words were after those timed heats.
Well, apologies for the technical gremlins there. We'll hopefully get that interview back with audio in a few moments' time. But like we were saying, for Dan Aleman, very, very good day yesterday. A near perfect one for him. Only lost out in that first one with a P2 after qualifying second overall. But for the rest of the day, wins on the board. Yeah, wins on the board. 4 on the spin for the Swiss driver. So he'll be going into this race with plenty of confidence. And if he is starting on the other side, let's hear some radio.
Good morning, everybody, from Viterbo, Champions of the Future Round 3. Here we go for finals day. The weather is looking stunning. The track looks amazing. Let's hope we have some good racing during the day. Whatever you're doing, take care. Please keep hydrated and have a good day.
Race director Martin Bean there, who will be again positioned out at Marshall Post 10 for at least the start of this race. Dan Ashton, you saw there on the gantry, deputy race director, wishing everybody well-wishers ahead of this finals race day. Drivers out on circuit now as we get ready for OK Junior Superheat A.
Indeed, we look forward to this one. Dan Aleman and Eli Christian will be starting this one on the front row of the grid. Third in the championship is the Canadian. What can he do from the front row of the grid? The pole sitter from time qualifying, Iskender Solfakari and Sebastian Eskandari go from row number 2. Evan Purcell and Devin Waltz, who sits just inside the top 10 of the championship, starts this on the third row of the grid. And have Michael McGoy and Bruno Blanco on row number 4. Julian Fresnelli and Andrea Mani go from row 5. They will have Benjamin Magnac and Bosco Arias rounding out row at number 6. And the first 12 drivers on the grid. Leonardo Gorski and Jabakir Justo go from row 7. They will have Valerio Vidipiana and Daniel Miron on row 10. Gioli Girardello and Ludovico Mazzola round out the first half of the field on row number 9.
Second half of the field all need good races here to continue through to the final. They currently sit outside the top 36 in the IC. Lucas Sell and Mariano Lopez start on row 10. Alexander Lazarus and Luke Tal both go from row number 11. Row 12, Jarlath Sayer and Michele Orlando. Row 13, Egon Pedrotti and Marcel Chebo. Row 14, Arata Endo and Sevolod Osachi-Suslovsky. Row 15, Tony Cacciafero and Martin Bertolacini. Row 16, Samuel Hugon and Gilles Herman. Row 17, Amir Sabarov and Pietro Baguti. The last of the qualifiers in this particular heat through to this superheat on row 18 are Wen Yubo and Nathan Kappen. So 36 drivers due out there on circuit. I'm glad to report that all 36 drivers are out on track. They've ticked through with their transponders on live timing. And again, remember, the points from yesterday, they carry on into today, but it's bigger points in the intermediate standings for this race. Up to 90 points available for drivers dependent on where they finish. So these superheats can really make a difference up and down the order. Again, 25 championship points available for the driver top of the final IC after these superheats. There's a look into race control. Joanna Falcao and Sam Fisher overlooking things in there with the huge array of cameras, almost 40 cameras out there on circuit, capturing each moment for the drivers.
They certainly are. Here we go then, at the front of the field. Let's go racing for the first time today. Lights out, fights on, down in towards turn number 1. And it's a brilliant start for Eli Christian. Well, for Dan Aleman, I should say, on the outside line there, who sweeps around and gets that early lead and holds on to it down in towards turn number 5 for the first time. Big sense down the inside. You can see there the number 67, Andrea Mani, trying to get the moves done in the early phases and successfully does so as the whole field exits out of turn number 6 and 7 to the highest part of the circuit at turn number 10.
Good tactics from Dan Aleman, starting on that left-hand side really did work. He, of course, has a little bit of an advantage over start line. The momentum he then had and the advantage of being on the rubbered-in racing line after a number of days of competition here. That might be a tactic that quite a few drivers have a look at and go, okay, that worked for Dan Aleman. Let's try it as well as we go through these superheats and maybe even the finals. End of lap number 1. Aleman leads, Sebastian Eskandari Miranda is second, so it's a Ward Racing 1-2 right now. Devin Waltz has had a decent start, is there in third. Eli Christian and Iskender Solfikari complete the top 5.
Indeed, eyes on this one as they dive down the inside. Christian on the charge here, back up into third place. And Devin Waltz, who's still on a good charge here with a 2-place gain, just dropping down 1 spot as they head once again up the hill. Keep an eye on Iskender Solfikari, again the fastest driver from time qualifying and not shy to a race win over the course of the weekend. Would have been the driver, I think, starting on pole position for this one if he didn't have that breakdown. But right now he's on the charge right now, and so is the rest of the field. Is down the inside there. That's a nice drive for Bruno Blanco, gaining those positions. The same for Andrea Mani. He's going wheel to wheel here with the Ricky Flynn driver of Bosco Arias in that number 27 machine as they exit out of the final sector and back over the start-finish line.
Good stuff there from Bosco Arias to get through into 7th place, a little bit further down the order. Who's performing heroics? Who's keeping their weekend going? Well, Luke Tall's up 9 places into 13th. That's not bad. Luke Tall doesn't need a huge drive through the field to split from outside the top 36 to inside the top 36. So that's going well for the Dutch driver in the victory lane machine. Mariano Lopez as well, up 8 spots to 12th. Those are the big movers at the moment, Anthony, looking like they could save their weekend.
Yeah, certainly so. And we didn't see many big movers there as down the inside. That's a boisterous way of trying to get past Iskender Solfikari, going absolutely tooth and nail with Devon Waltz. But Waltz does hold on to the position, but that was a very close moment there. That could have seen 2 or maybe even 3 of them off the track, as Bruno Blanco was right in the toe of that.
That was well held by Devon Waltz there to not get shuffled out. Held his own as down the inside there is a move from the 67. Through goes Andrea Mani on Bruno Blanco. So Bosco Arias has fallen back down. You've got Evan Purcell in this mix as well. A decent day yesterday for the Ricky Flynn Motorsport team. Keep an eye on Matzler as well. Another driver up 8 places in this race. As here's a move down the inside. Solfikari on Waltz. That's good for P4.
Yeah, that's a second attempt at that move, and this time got it signed, sealed, and done. Which is all nice for him. He can now go on the charge to Eli Christian, who is a little further up the road. Eyes on big movers down in the back of the field. Luke Tal is on the charge. Mariano Lopez still continuing their fight through the field, as mentioned before. But we'll keep a very close eye on their progress. A lot of these drivers, they will not make it into that final later on today. So we will keep a very close eye on that progression. But right now, the train starting to form here, Andrew, as they settle in at the halfway point of this race.
It's got into a good rhythm now, this race. It's slightly longer, of course, than the qualifying heats that we've been talking about for the last day and a half here in Viterbo. What can the drivers do with those extra 2 laps? Well, that's a nice move. That's Mani down the inside of Waltz through turn 12. We're going to see a lot of overtaking in that part of the circuit here today. Andrea Mani making good progress up through the field. Move from Evan Purcell on his teammates, side by side through turn 16. Oh, Bosco Arias into the gravel and into the grass, gets it back on circuit, but will have dirty tyres now and has lost a number of positions. That's the danger of running side by side through turn 16. It tightens very quickly. It's a quick corner, and Bosco Arias will now have to fight back and fallen down the order.
Yeah, he's fallen right down the order there, hasn't he? So we'll keep a close eye on how he gets back in this one, but that's a real danger zone for him. He should be okay still, though. 12th place he started this. I don't think a low finishing order will hinder his chances of making it into that final later on today.
He's not completely fallen out the order. I think what's happened there is he's run so wide and onto the grass that he's gone round the beam for the transponder line. So don't worry there, fans of Bosco Arias.
Crowding 1-1-3 off the track.
Right, so word about the 1-1-3 there. Was that now, that's Michelle Orlando, who's down in 30th place. Now, is that saying that someone squeezed them off the track or they squeezed them off the track? Well, we don't quite know. Eyes on this one. Evan Purcell on the charge, getting past Waltz and moving up into 7th place. But let's see what happens. Right, okay, so it's the number 75, Alexander Lazarus, who is under investigation for potentially causing that collision, which I believe did squeeze the 1-1-3 of Michelle Orlando off the circuit. So that's how we've cleared that one up. Now there is Bosco Arias, 12th place back in the fight. I think timekeeping have sorted that one out, as that's a close moment there. Mariano Lopez, who, like we're saying, is currently under investigation. Well, no, at the moment not under investigation. That's Lazarus, but Lopez still pushing very, very hard in that order. Dan Aleman, fastest lap of the race, 0.6 of a second clear from Sebastian Eskandari, and is pushing forward nicely in this race.
It's another really good performance from Dan Aleman. If he can secure this victory, he'll get pole position for the final and another haul of 25 championship points. Dan Aleman a little bit further back in the championship stakes. His efforts so far this weekend have put him up to 14th in the point standings, championship point standings overnight. It's only his second point scoring. Oh, as Lazarus is out.
Yeah.
Alexander Lazarus out of this superheat, and unfortunately that may well be the end of the weekend. Yes, it will be the end of the weekend for Alexander Lazarus. Was outside the top 36 overnight and will not proceed on.
That is a big shame, and I'm not seeing any damage on that kart. That may be mechanical in nature, so we'll have to see if we've got anything of that. But yeah, that's a big shock for Lazarus. He was under investigation, of course, but clearly at that point, it doesn't really matter for him now because, like you just mentioned there, Andrew, he's going to go no further in this weekend. Chrisen now with the fastest lap of the race there in third place. Could be able to close in on Sebastian Eskandari, but that fight at the moment relatively calm between those two, but that gap has closed in just that fraction actually. It's down to 0.3 of a second for second place.
Yeah, it's getting pretty close out there, and again there's some big points at play through these superheats. 90 points for a win, 80 points for second place, 72, 66, 60 and so forth. Oh, now two drivers out there.
Marshall Sebo and Endo Arata off the circuit. So that is at the same part of the track that we just lost Alexander Lazarus as well. So more dramas there, but I think those two may have had it coming together.
Yeah, they've been together throughout the whole of this race. Another two drivers who are outside the top 36, so you know what that news is going to be for them. Weekend over, unfortunately, for Chebo and for Endo. Back towards the front of the order. Here's your fight for fifth place. Manny Blanco over the top of the rise. Downhill now towards turn number 12. Can Blanco get it done on the brakes? He can go from quite a far way back through this corner. That was a little bit too far for Blanco to seriously think about an attempt at a move. Fight for second place is on as well. Eskandari, Morandi and Chrisen coming out of the final corner. That's 10 laps done. 2 more to go. These are the extra 2 laps now for one of these superheats. And for Eli Christian, who is a title contender, third in the championship points overnight, within striking distance of the two Forza drivers, William Kalesia and Henry Domain. Chrisen, for his championship bid, I think needs this position.
Yeah, indeed. And right now, trying to push as hard as he can. But the time very quickly running out. Eskandari looks really comfortable there in P2. I don't think there's much Eli Christian can do right now. He's got the 2 satellite Tony Kart drivers up ahead of him for the Ward Racing team. Alaman and Eskandari, him on the factory machinery, really needing to showcase what he can do. Now, Arata Endo is under investigation for potentially causing that collision between himself and Marshall Sebo. The Rick Flynn driver, clearly the one not to blame in that incident. Into the final sector as, oh dear, that's a cut that's just been spat off at the side of the circuit. Now that's an MP machine of, I think, the number, well, not the 54, possibly the 58. Is that Leonardo Gorski? I think it is. Yeah, Leonardo Gorski out of the race as we're on the final lap. Eli Christian is all over the rear bumper of Sebastian Eskandari.
It's going to be a nervous wait for Leonardo Gorski now, because whilst he was inside the top 36, he's in that zone where if you have a bad race, you could fall out of the qualifiers for the final. Into the final complex then. Alaman's got this race won. It's just a question of whether Christian can find a last-minute move through on Eskandari. Morandi, here come the leaders out of the final corner. Dan Alaman does the job again and will be on pole position for the final. What a run for the Swiss driver. That's another championship haul of 25 points. Eskandari Morandi will have a good starting position on the grid as well. Eli Christian will keep the points ticking over also in his championship bid, but Dan Alaman tried it out and made that switch to the outside line work. A very well done job.
Yeah, and with that, Dan Alaman having a good chunk of points there. But for the, like you say, at the front of this one, it will be Eli Christian, I think, at the moment in the championship, still with those 163 points to his name. But it is Alaman who leads the intermediate classification. He'll be heading to a potential pole position start for that final later on today. It is Alaman from Sebastian Eskandari, Eli Christian from Eskender Sofakari, Andrea Mani from Bruno Blanco, Evan Purcell from Michael McCoy, Ludovico Mazzola from Bosco Arias, Devon Waltz from Luke Tal, then it is Valerio Virpiana Giacomo Justo, Benjamin Magnac, Giole Girardello from Julian Frasnelli, Daniel Miron in 18th place from Jarles Saya, Mariano Lopez from Igor Prodotti, Gilles Herman with a good fight there, up into 22nd place with a 10th place gain from Martin Bertolacini, 7 places gain, Samuel Hugon from Pietro Baguzzi, Tony Casciavero from Lucas Sell, Amir Sabarov from Michelle Orlando, Nathan Kapin from Sevoloda Sachi-Soslovsky, Wen Yibu rounding out the 32 finishers. For retirements, Gorski, Endo, Sebo and Lazarus not making it to the end, but that man there on your screen, Dan Alman, 334 points to his name, is certainly going to be the one to beat in this one, and that's made the job very difficult for Kalijah, but I think he will be clear and dry for that pole position later on today for the Swiss driver. Here's a look at the highlights from that race. Relatively settled one at the start. Andrea Mani getting a really good getaway at the beginning of that one, gaining a good chunk of places, ending that race with a gain of 5 total spots at the end of it. Clean breakaway at the front of the grid for that one. Alaman and Sebastian Eskandari breaking away, of course, with Alaman switching sides of the grid. He helps out his fellow Ward Racing teammate to push forward in that early stages. Some feisty overtakes happening near the early stages of that race. You saw the likes here of everyone just vying for position. Andrea Mani again pushing in those positions, trying to push forward. He was battling with Bosco Arias. Later, Arias was off the circuit. And again, Skander Sofakari was also getting his nose caught in down the inside with all of those fights in the around the 5th lap of the race. Eyes on this one finally. Iskander Sofakari getting the move done on the likes of Devon Waltz, who ended up dropping down to 11th place at the end of that one. But a very close race to the end. As let's head down to Parc Ferme. Andrew Mather is ready.
I am indeed. Thank you, Anthony. A sprinter down here, not as quick as this driver, though. Dan Alaman, another race victory. But my first question, talk me through the switch to the left-hand side of the grid.
It was a good choice. I tried to help my teammate, starting 4th. So we helped each other very good. And during the race, he was all the time 2nd, so it was perfect for us.
What have you learned through warm-up this morning in that first heat? Any changes in how the track is feeling?
The track is feeling a little bit more grippy than yesterday. In the warm-up, they put almost all new tires, so the track is coming a little bit better.
And as you say, a really good result for the team there. Sebastian having a very strong run to P2. Does that give you even more confidence going into the final that you can get on the podium today?
For sure.
Good stuff. Dan, thanks for your time. Let's have a quick word as well, if we can, with Eli Christian. Eli, not a race win, but again, you're keeping those championship points ticking over.
Yeah, this pre-final was tough since I had a bad start. I was pretty fast at the beginning. At the end, I saw Dan was very fast. I was trying to catch up to Seb, but he was very quick, and at the end, he was defending. So I think it's decent for the championship, and we had pace, so that's good.
As I say, you had pace, particularly in the second half of that race. That's pretty good news, considering we go to the final next in a much longer set of laps.
Yeah, I see I'm fast from the second part of the race, and that's good since the final here is very long. And I hope we can do a good final and we learn.
Good stuff, Eli. Thanks for your time. Good thoughts from the drivers there. They'll rest up from Superheat A, get ready for their final. For now, though, back to you, Anthony, in the box.
Thank you very much, Andrew Mather, down there in Parc Ferme. As you can see, clean-up operation just underway after that first Superheat of the day. 3 more to go before we head into those 2 finals later on today, and it is Superheat 1 for the senior category that will be heading out next onto the circuit. And it will all start with the young Briton, Scott Marsh, after an injury earlier on this season, is back fighting fit and starting this one on pole position after pole in qualifying as well. He has kept that trend up at 3 race wins to his name, a 2nd and a 4th. Starts this one right at the beginning. He had a really close fight over the course of this weekend with Christian Costoya. He did lose out to Costoya, but the results that he gained in that final race proved to be absolutely vital. and he finds himself with those 25 championship points to his name, and also a good starting position for this Superheats. He's not alone, though, of course, on the front row of that grid. He will be joined by Nicolo Kaman, who was still as well very quick in time to qualifying and has had really strong results, never been outside of the top 10, and 4 of those races has been P2s, only his last one with a P7, but still a very strong result for the Italian. We look forward to seeing what he can do in this one, starting on the outside of row number 1. Other drivers to keep an eye on as well. Thomas Bradier, 10th in the championship currently, and starting right behind Scott Marsh. He's going to be one to keep an eye on in this one. The same can be said looking back at the 7th row of the grid. Championship leader, Jacopo Martinez, still in that championship lead, but only by a handful of points, 8 in total from Joe Turney. However, I do not believe Joe Turney will be racing today. That incident yesterday in the last of the qualifying heats has seen him withdraw from the weekend, which is a big shame. And our thoughts are with him at this time. So we hope a speedy recovery for him. For the other drivers, though, in this, that certainly will be needing to keep an eye on is Christian Costoya, the Spaniard, who's 3rd in the championship. He's not in this race. He'll be in the next one, but he's going to be the closest rival for Jacopo Martinez. When it comes to that final later on, it's going to be the case of who leads the championship at the end of the round here in Italy. Right, engines fire up, drivers make their way out onto the circuit. Let's quickly fire you through the full starting lineup for this one. Scott Marsh and Nicolo Kaman go from row number 1. They'll have Thomas Bradier and Sebastiano Pavan on row number 2. Marco Gast and Noah Wolf go from row 3. They'll have Alpak Soy and Jakub Mikalev on row number 4. James Anagnostiadis and Roman Kamiev go from row 5. They'll have Sebastian Mins and Elliot Kaczynski on row 6. Jacopo Martinez, current championship leader, on row 7 with Louis Cochet alongside. Row number 8 is Karel Verhan and Davide Battaro, with Lewis Francis 5th in the championship, joined by 8th in the championship. Filippo Sala right on the cutoff for this Superheats.
Same story for all drivers that we're going to talk about now to what we talked about in the juniors. They all need good races in this one, or it's the end of the weekend. Row 10, Hugo Marti and Dean Pedersen. Row 11, Roland Kuklane and Lev Krutalov. Luna Flusha has a chance here from row 12 and is joined by Carl Lutard on that one. Maxi Rafalik and Marcus Shulkunas have a chance as well from row 13. Look out for them coming through. Oscar Repetto and Efim Durinov go from 14. Vilma Svan and Daniel Picconi complete the first 15 rows in the top 30. Emily Coivisto and Maria Neto on row 16. Bo Lovett and Jason Bralick on row 17. Romeo Russell and Kuba Reisky are the last drivers in this one. Big long shots for making it through to the top 36 there on row 18. Oh dear, chain guard off. What would you say, Anthony? Is that's a grey coloured one? Which
again, it could be a Forza. It could be any one of the OTK products out there. It could be a Tony Kart. It could be obviously Award Racing. It could be any one of those out there. So we'll have to wait and see if we see a number come up. 2 drivers are missing from this grid. Carl Lutard and Maximilian Rafalek, they are not out on this track. The drivers who were starting on the 12th and 13th rows, not out there, heading over into the tram lines. It's a false start. They are going around again, which is absolutely fine because it gives the chance for all of them to come together, to twist and shout around the track and see what happens.
Yeah, it does indeed. So that early acceleration not to the satisfaction of Dan Ashton. So they go around again.
The car's on track, potentially missing a chain guard. We'll try and get you the number 305, Martin.
305. They're being reported as missing the chain guard. So we'll wait to see further instructions on that one. That would be Cara Furhand. That would be a Paralyn. So off target here in the comms box with it being potentially an OTK. But that wouldn't be good news at all because Cara Furhand's on the bubble at the moment. Starts on row 8. you know, retirement from that kind of position, that's how you fall out of the top 36.
It certainly does. Well, that is going to be a tense one for them, but as the drivers exit out of the final corner, here comes the sun, and will the lights go out? They do indeed. Lights out, fights on for the drivers. Down in towards turn number 1. It's a solid start still for both the front rows. Keep an eye on Niccolo Comando. Can he hold it round the outside? No, he can't. He slots into second place. It's a big hit of the curve, though, for Noah Wolf, who goes wide as they're 4 wide into the braking zone of the hairpin at turn number 5. Amazingly, though, they all managed to keep it somewhat on the circuit.
Martinez on the move has just got past Jakub Mikulev there. Mikulev having a real tough time out of turn 5. Oh, Luna Flusha is out, and is that Dean Pedersen as well, who has gone? Yes, so 2 drivers who both had a chance of making it through to the final. It's over on lap 1 for Pedersen and Flusha. No points for them. That is the first surprise in this Superheat, Anthony.
It certainly is. That is a big, big shame for them. Like you say, it's 10th and 12th rows for them at the start of this one. Will not see them participate in that final. Over the start-finish line they go. It's Marshall Command from Pradea, Sebastiano Pavans from Mins, Noah Wolf there in P6 from Alpac Soy, Marco Gast from Roman Kamiat, Martinez rounding out the top 10, championship leader on a 3-place gain so far in this Superheat. He's looking to see what he can do in that final later on today, where he needs those championship points. Like you say, drivers who have suffered in that one, Justine Pedersen and Luna Flusha in that early stages. Jakub Rashki with now a 4-place gain for the back of the grid because of those missing carts and that early crash.
Other movers up the field. Davide Botaro is strengthening his position, was a driver already inside the top 36 and is going forward, has gained 5 places, is up to P11. That's good news for the driver in the Works CRG team. We'll come back to that because it's all going on. Louis Cachet in the middle, and Louis Cachet all over the back of the 275 there. That's Hugo Marti, one of the Paralins. Well, this is what can happen sometimes in a Superheat. It's getting to the tight part of the weekend. All the fastest drivers across the entry here together. And a mistake there for Cachet. It's been a difficult weekend for the French driver.
It certainly has. Update on the incident earlier on as down the inside there. It's a nice little change for the front runners. And Alpac Soy getting those moves done. Luna Flusha still in the race. She has rejoined and circulating at the moment down in 33rd place. Eyes on the front here. These are your front runners. Marsh Command, Pradea and Pavan in a close fight. Noah Wolf just in the background of that one in P5. As you see, the Alpac Soy, Mins, Gas, Martinez, Kamiat, Bataro, Mikulev battle all getting involved here. You've got Sala there as well, James Enignosiadis, Gareth Fairhand, all trying to get involved in that fight. It's a large train of carts. You cannot make any of them out from each other. They are tripping over each other. And lap number 5.
It's the second quarter of this race. The mechanical flag has been shown to the 305 of Cara Fairhand. That will be for the missing chain guard on his Paralin. Here's a look once again back to lap 1. So that's what happened between Flusha and Pedersen. Oh, somebody else got some damage there. A piece of bodywork being kicked up and out onto the grass. Flusha able to restart. You are allowed to restart, of course, on lap number 1. Here's a repeat of the issue between Cachet and Marty. And was that Lewis Francis also involved there?
It was, yeah.
The 244, one of the Kart Republics, who was an innocent party, in my opinion, in all of that. Back at the front of the order, look at this. Command is all over the back of Scott Marsh here on lap number 5. This is good stuff from the Italian, who's been a pleasant surprise this weekend. Has taken a big step forward for Forza Racing. I tell you what, for Marsh, if he loses this position, Pradea and Wolf are there, closing in as well. Scott Marsh is going to have to get his defensive shapes out in this next few laps.
He is, but he's got a decent points lead at the moment. Look at that, 322 from Command's 288. There's nothing really they can do about it. Of course, when we go into that second race, maybe Costoya could have something to do with it, but of course Costoya's last result put him down to 8th in the points. He's only got 213 to his name, despite the fact having 4 race wins.
But this is where the big differences in the points for Superheats can really come into play. Costoya, yes, lost a number of positions yesterday, but is still in a position, 213 points. If he was to win his race, add 90 to that would really, really boost his score.
Oh, Marsh down the inside there. Sorry, Andrew. Brilliant move down the inside of the likes of Thomas Pradier, and he stepped up into third place now, pushing his run to the front. Flusha under investigation, multiple attempts to restart. Now, we didn't see that, of course, but of course with the multitude of cameras, if she tried to get it done once, failed on the first lap, she then may have tried it again. That's illegal. What you're not allowed to do. Yeah, you've only got the one attempt to do it, and yeah, that is a shame if that has happened. Eyes on this one, though. Marsh seems to have settled in now. Command did have a good charge there to close in. I think he's just broken away as they're out of the race. Kenneth Fairhand dropping to the back of the field. The driver off the 305 goes no further. Yeah, and a real disappointment there for Kenneth Fairhand. Never nice to be out of the race for that reason. I'm just doing some of the maths. You know I like to do some of the maths. I think Scott Marsh. Oh, that's one of the. That's an end plate. That's an end plate and a pod off of someone's probably rear bumper. So someone's missing one out there. There's Luna Flusha, weekend over. Really stemmed back from the time qualifying results for Luna. She's been fighting hard. Had a really good heat yesterday. Tried something different on the tyre strategy, but not quite her day. Scott Marsh, if he finishes fourth, I think that will open the door for Christian Costoya if he can win his Superheat. So Scott Marsh doing a good job. It's one of those almost cliche situations of if in doubt, you know the rest. Just got to keep himself up at the front and not take any chances of falling down the order and then seeing what Costoya can do. Problem for Wolf. I was about to say, I hope his cart doesn't let him down, and he's slowed right down. He's got it going again, but he's lost out to Pradier, who he'd only just managed to get past, and he's looking down at the engine. Something just coughed out of life there, but it's at full race pace again right now, but clearly something is not right. No, he's dropping off the pace again. It's died again on him. Oh, that's absolutely disastrous for the Briton, who had a shockingly good start to the beginning of this race. Well, Noah Wolf has had great speed this weekend, but not always the best of luck. You remember back to Thursday in timed qualifying, he had a mechanical problem then. He had a DQ on in round two. For me, that's the right choice from Wolf. He's got to keep going. He's got to keep going, and if he can get this kart to the end of the race and still get a top 10, his chances of winning this race are probably going. But you know, he's got to keep pressing on to see what points he can salvage. Let's look again, coming out of turn number 7 and over the hill again. It seems to be okay now. It's not amazing pace. It seems to be getting off the corners that is the problem right now for Noah Wolf. But what a shame for the VAR by Birrell team. They were looking really, really good. Oh, and he's slowing down again. He's slowed down again. He's lost out to Pavan this time, and Sebastian Mins, his good friend, is next up in the CRG. I don't think it's the beginning of the revs. I don't think it's the end of it, because he's got good top speed. It's the middle. Yeah. It's as soon as it gets to the middle of the rev band there, something just doesn't kick into life on that machine. And yeah, he really struggles out of some of those hairpins, doesn't he? But now again, it looks absolutely fine. It looked really quick through that first chicane. So not sure what's happening, but it's all the way through this middle section here. Watch it on the exit. Does again, he just grinds to a halt here. Well, he's got the likes of Sebastian Mins right on the rear bumper. But this time, no, again, it looks absolutely fine again. Yeah, it's still a little bit sluggish for me out of the corners. You can see Wolf again trying to make an adjustment. Mins is going to look down the inside. That's the easiest overtake that Sebastian Mins will have this weekend. Noah Wolf not able to do anything at all to hold off a driver he knows very, very well from across their karting careers. Through and out towards the complex now and around the final corner. And it's just here when you want the engine to kick, you want it to go, and you can see the kart lengths that Noah Wolf is losing. Through here he's pretty good.
Yeah, Darren confirmed 253, we're seeing rear left.
Copy that. Technical flag 253. 253, please.
That is the Estonian Roland Kuklane, unfortunately, who's going to be the recipient of that one, which is a shame because he's on a 2-place gain inside the top 20 right now. And I suspect for the Estonian that could be a weekend over for him because he started on the 11th row of the grid. He will not make that final. Yeah, he won't go forward. We'll check in due course whether that's our kart that's missing one of the
the ends of the rear bumper. Scott Marsh, though, has weathered the storm so far in this race. End of lap number 11, 5 to go. Scott Marsh on his return. This time in the last round at Portimao, he was arm in a sling, watching from the sidelines, but Scott Marsh has fought back brilliantly here. He's not got the job done yet, of course. He's still got the remainder of this heat. He's still got the final to go. But every time Scott Marsh is asked a question this week, he is answering them brilliantly. There is the driver in second place, Nicolo Coman, down into turn 12. Holding off Thomas Pradere right now. It's another brilliant drive from the Italian.
It certainly is. Both of them doing a really good job here. But Marsh just holding firm. Relatively calm race end for most of the runners inside that top 10. Of course, Filippo Sala having a good run in this race as once more kicking off in the background there. We keep a close eye on this field, but this is right down the further end of it as well. Vilmos Vanmarie and Neto having a good scrap. This is around 25th and 26th place. Lewis Francis there on the back foot. Of course, he's down 10 places, but trying to push through as in finally comes Relica, and he's out of this race.
And just did it the old-fashioned way, looking out the window. Yes, that is our cart that is missing one of those coloured blocks on the far side of the rear bumper. So Emily Coy-Visto is out of this one. Hope to see Emily back out again later on. Change for fourth place. Mins is through. Sebastian Mins again. He's been doing this throughout the course of the race week, Anthony. Second half of the heat. This is where the CRG starts to fly. This is again good news for Sebastian Mins when we get to that final 23 laps of it later on this afternoon. You can watch here on your platform of choice. Noah Wolf again looking down at the power unit. Probably quite confused right now as what on earth is happening out there, but he's still holding position. He may not be able to keep Alpak Soy away, because we've seen Alpak Soy be pretty quick this week, but again, Wolf carrying on, and this is what I said, he's got to keep going, he's got to keep out. There's going to be some good points potentially here, as long as that machine can hold itself together.
No, exactly. At the moment, he's effectively going out there screaming for help, but, you know, he's just doing what he can right now, and that is damage limitation, and keep it going and keep it, hopefully, within inside that top 10. And he'll still be in a good position at the end of this, because he's currently still 6th in the points, joint on points with Marco Gast. But, of course, they'll be out later on today as, well, having a look down the order, actually. Bolawet, as you were pointing out there, Andrew, 20 places gained in this race. This has been a superb drive.
It has. It's been a brilliant drive for Bolawet. I don't think it's going to be enough, unfortunately, for Bo to get through, because Bo started this one on the 17th row of the grid. But, hey, if you're going to go out of the weekend, go out in style, and that's exactly what the Belgian's doing at the moment. Has already driven through more than half the field. We're on lap 15, 1.5 to go. Scott Marsh looking good, 6/10 clear of Nicolo Coman there in second place. Thomas Pradere looking strong as well in third place at the moment. He would be on the inside of row number 2 for the final. We have still, of course, got another superheat to go with the likes of Costoya, Craigie, and others all looking good in the points right now. But we're on the final lap. Scott Marsh through turns 1, 2, 3, 4 and towards the first big braking zone of 5. This has been another brilliant run for the Briton.
It certainly has. He scored his first championship points yesterday in the intermediate classification after scoring 0 points. He now sits 16th in the standings, and today with those 322, if our maths is right in the box, that looks like another 25 championship points, and he will head up somewhat within just outside the top 10 of the standings.
It will be really closing in on the likes of the drivers in this race, the likes of Filippo Sala, the likes of Thomas Pradere, just behind him in third place. But Scott Marsh winds it through, out of the final corner, takes the checkered flag, lights to flag victory for Scott Marsh, and Marsh will be on pole for the final later on this afternoon here in Italy. He has got one more race to complete a heroic weekend, coming back from that broken wrist at Portimao in the previous round of Champions of the Future. Scott Marsh is back and in the points as well. 50 on the board. Provisional, of course, but the big one, the final later on this afternoon, that's the one that he's fought back, got his fitness back. That's what he wants to try and take later on today. It's going to be a hard job. That wasn't an easy superheat, and of course we've still got the second superheat to go, and there's some big drivers in that one yet to race. Let's have a look at your provisional result. Marsh from Kumar Pradir, that's your 1, 2, 3. Sebastian Mins, another great drive from Mins, up 7 places for CRG to 4th. Seb Pavan there in 5th. Noah Wolf fights through to 6th place. He'll be annoyed, he'll be very annoyed that the materials weren't quite there, but that's a really good response from Noah Wolf to still get some good points. Alpac Soy solid again in P7 ahead of Marco Gast, Jacopo Martinezzi and James Adagnostiadis. Mikolev, Salah, Lovett, Krutalov and Bataro. I reckon a lot of those are going to be making it through. Question mark and Bo Louette, but what a drive, up 20 places in that race. Louis Cachet, Elliot Kaczynski, Emily Koivisto, Roman Kamiab and Hugo Marti all in the top 20. Koivisto will be excluded from the results, will he not, after that flag earlier on in the race. No, he won't be. Apologies, the 217 didn't have any flags in that race. Hugo Marti, P20, Bralic, Derenov, Francis Svan, Neto all in the top 25. Repetto, Shilkunas, Roussel, Corny and Reisky will not continue. Let's have a look at some of the highlights from that first superheat of the day. Into turn 1, solid start for Scott Marsh. He's been in that position throughout the course of the weekend, having been fastest in TQ on Thursday. A real rough race for Noah Wolf. He was wide out of turn number 4, but fought back. That was the rough moment for Jacob Mikolev as well. He was out of the curb on turn number 5. That was the end of the race, and there you see up in the air going the piece for the Kart Republic that lost its rear fairing or its rear bumper. Wolf fighting back through. Luna Flusher and Dean Pedersen were out of the race at this point. Louis Cachet having contact there with Hugo Marti. Lewis Francis with nowhere to go, fell down the order. Good performance once again from the MP Kart Racing team coming through. Noah Wolf in these early laps was looking really good. There was Kyle Fairhand leaving the race, having lost a chain guard on the formation laps. But it was this stage where Noah Wolf started to have his technical problems, losing positions, but kept going. Sebastian Mins took advantage of the situation, went down the inside on his way to a really good result in 4th place. Other battles down the field. Lewis Francis trying to come back through the order. I think we'll see Francis through. Oh no, that's going to be a little bit tight for Lewis Francis to get through to the final. We'll wait and see. But for Scott Marsh, we will see him on pole position for the final later on today. And let's head down to Anthony Jordan.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Down here in Parc Fermé here with our race winner. Now with another round of championship points going towards you as well. That's a great start to the 3rd round for you, Scott. You've now got 50 points to your name. That's a great way to start the weekend.
Yeah, it was another good race. I just sort of managed to manage the gap the whole race, and yeah, that was it really.
One more race to go for you, of course, that all-important final. You're looking to start right on pole position for that one. Is the tension getting to you now? Are the butterflies getting in your stomach, or are you cool, calm, collected, ready for another normal race out there?
No, I'm not nervous. I'm going to keep on doing what I've been doing.
Excellent, and it has been certainly working for you out there. How is it all feeling? Tyres all okay? Everything, cart's all set up right and how you want it, and nothing you want to change really for that final?
No, I think we're looking good. I think we're one of the fastest, so we're just going to keep it that way.
Excellent. Well, congratulations, Scott. We'll see you out there for that final.
Thank you.
Excellent stuff. If we've got a bit of time, we've got Nicolo Coman just over here. We'll have a quick chat with the Italian. Nicolo, great run for you as well in that one. Some really strong points on the board. And how are you feeling after the weekend?
I feel very good. My start was strong, very strong, and then I tried to keep the pace of him, and he was a little bit faster than me, and we have to change a bit something for the final, and then for me we are in good position for fight for the win.
Can we get an insight? What do you want to change?
I don't want to say. No, top secret.
Well, one day I'll get an answer of that question. One day I'll get an answer. Right, let's head back up to the box. More Superheats coming up.
More superheats indeed. Keep trying, Anthony. Keep going. I say, one of these days you'll get an answer to that question. Yes, the second set of superheats coming up. OK Junior will be next. And it's the battle of the Forzas in this one. William Kalesia and Henry Domain on the front row. Domain championship leader, of course, from the start of the weekend, still holds that championship lead from his teammate. So it's 8 points between these two heading into the finals day with up to 75 points available. And there's been a swap there. So Kalesia in the number 70 will start on driver's left, the right-hand side of your screen as we're looking at it there. Domain will have to start on the inside. This worked very well for Dan Alaman in the first race of the day. So let's see if William Kalesia can deploy that in a manner to take advantage. Let's go back to yesterday and some of the thoughts from our drivers in this heat.
William, really good job. A tough last race of the day, starting from the outside of row one. Talk me through it.
Well, yeah, it was obviously the race where one of the two races where I had to start on the outside, and it was a pretty decent start. I could have gotten into second, but I just wasn't able to get the run as Baglin had the inside line. He was able to get in front, and then it was kind of just after that, the full course yellow. As I was slowly catching, then there was a full course yellow, so we wasted a couple laps there. But and then during the restart, I made sure that the restart was a little bit behind. Wasn't right on Baglin's bumper, but then once Baglin tried to pass on the turn one, I had a feeling that I was going to be able to get through in the middle of the corner, which I did, which I'm very happy about.
I asked Dan about the moment that he had just coming out of the last corner on that restart. Noah went for the move, not quite able to do it. Did your eyes light up there? Do you think, well, hang on a minute, I could win this race?
Yeah, I did. Once I saw them battling, I'm like, okay, we have a chance now. And then once I got past Baglin, there weren't a lot of laps left, so I just made sure I kept my head down. But yeah, overall, pretty happy with the result.
Lots of people watching at home on the other side of the world. What would you like to say to them and all the support you've got in Australia?
Well, I'm obviously very happy with the support, and I can't wait to see you guys at the end of the year.
Fantastic stuff. William, congratulations. More points for you in the championship as well. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Do indeed. So William Kalesia starts this race from pole position. Henry Domain alongside on the front row, and the pole sitter has elected for a swap. Noah Baglin and Alex Malota on row 2. Denny Babacek and Maxim Bobashov on row 3. Dean Hugendorn and Juan Garciase go from row number 4. It's just Mulder and Asher Oxteen on row 5. Jesse Phillips and Will Green are on an all-British row number 6. Turner Brown and Manuel Miguez are there on row number 7. Jean-Matteo Russo and Gregor Callas are on row 8. Callas hasn't made a final so far this season. Priam Bruno and Matteo Albert Rivals go from row number 9. On row 10, it's Drew Waltz and Olivieri Cini. That's your top 20. Antonio Pizzonia Jr. and Alessandro Truchot go from row 11. Roland Nagy and Mark Pilipenko, row 12. Simmons Torres and Diaz de la Vega on row 13. Kumpen and Bonham on row 14. Stanley and Hernandez on row 15. The Troja and Van Rooyen on row 16. Zhang and Vishmerska on row 17. Islami and Aziza complete the 36-strong field.
And it is going to be a very exciting 36-strong field because some tyres have been deployed in this one. They've saved them right to the bitter end before the fresh set later on in that final. But let's talk about that a little bit later on because into the tram lines they go. We will wait for those lights to go out. Do they go out? It is. Lights out, fights on in OK Junior. Superheat 2 down in towards turn number 1. And again, it's a solid start for the front two rows, but Kalesia holds onto it right at the front of it. Domain's gone backwards. Baglin's trying to get involved in the fight as well, but as they exit in towards turn number 5, it's a close run for the front runners, but look at that. We've already got a 5-car breakaway and 2 drivers off. Case Aziza is one of them, and unfortunately it looks like it's Priam Bruno the other. They will go no further in this race. They may have got involved with Dragrat de Troja as well. Zhang Jose has had a moment with Case Aziza. I don't think Primbrano is one of them. I thought I saw the number 81. I think I may have been mistaken with the 91. I was. It is Dragrat de Troja in the Kart Republic who is off the circuit, and that is a big shame for those three drivers.
And it's not a good weekend, unfortunately, for Dragrat de Troja. That is the end of things. Oh, we've got another two drivers off in the complex, and is that two of the Forzas? Yes, it is. Two teammates have got together. It's Roland Nagy and Jean-Matteo Rousseau who are out of this race. Well, rule number 1 of motorsport is don't take out your teammate. That is exactly what's happened at turn 13.
Now, that is a big shame for them. Jean-Matteo Rousseau was caught out yesterday as well after he deployed fresh tyres in the race. He got spun on the exit of turn at number 5, and that's what really put a spanner in the works for him, and I don't think he'll be making that final after that one. Eyes on this one to the inside. Close attempt from Alex Malota, but not close enough. And I am expecting to see some more attempts like that, because Malota has got fresh tyres on the left-hand side of his kart. He'll be one to keep a very close eye on this one. The same can be said for Denny Babacek. The same can be said for Dean Hugendorn as well. Both of them all with fresh tyres on. But the crucial one is Denny Babacek. He's not gone for either the left or the right. He's gone front right, rear left. He's gone diagonal on his kart out there, and that's going to be a crucial one to see how he gets on.
Yeah, it's an interesting one from Denny Babacek, trying to balance things out, maybe feeling that that's the way to go with the setup. 54.435 is a new fastest lap from the driver in third place, Noah Backlin. How does this all change things in the intermediate classification? Well, Alaman, we know, has got pole position. Can't be beaten by any of the drivers in this race. Kalesia would go to second place. That would convert through to 22 championship points. He'd beat out Christian there to third place, so it would be 19 points for the Canadian. Domain there fourth, would still hold the championship lead by, in my head calculations, but only by 2 points. So for Henry Domain, he's got to keep this consistency of it. He hasn't actually won a race this week. He's had a string of seconds and thirds through the qualifying heats. Here's a move from Baglin, though, down the inside of the fast-starting Alex Malota. Nice move there from the Portimao winner. He's up to second place.
He certainly is, and looking very, very strong here as they head up the hill to the highest part of the circuit. Turn number 10, kart goes light here as they exit down the hill now towards turn at number 12. Tucking in as much as he can Baglin. I am surprised about this, of course. You know, the fresh tyres there on Malota, they're just not biting into life yet for him.
No, he had a very good start, a really tremendous move around the outside of Henry Domain to get into that second place, but its middle part is it's not really going his way at the moment. Maxim Bobrashov looking a good degree quicker. Fifth place. The story for Bobrashov so far this weekend, very good TQ, not quite the race pace there, but for the first time this weekend we're seeing him going on the attack with a bit of help from Babacek.
Yeah, indeed, and it's the first time this season we're seeing him up here as well, because he's not scored any championship points so far until this weekend, as he does again lose out on that position. Babacek up into P5. Bobrashov is one of the highest ranking drivers in the championship standings. Granted, he's got 0 points, but the highest ranking there who's not made a final. And so far, well, he's looking like he's going to have an excellent final later on today.
Yeah, it's really, really good to see Bobrashov going forward. Notice from race control, the number 33 of Henry Constant-Kumpen is under investigation. It's been a tough weekend for Kumpen. Where is Kumpen at the moment? I think a little bit further down the order, but has gained positions. He's up to 20th place. Meanwhile, towards the front, we've got to have a fight here. Noah Backlin has got his head down and looking to have another strong finals day for the Champions of the Future season in 2025. He's going to be taking on Kalesia here. We're on to lap number 6. This could be a good scrap at the front of the order.
Could be indeed, as Hugendorn gets squeezed onto the grass. He tried to get a wheel alongside the likes of Will Green there, but Green covering off the attack. Asher Osteen now with a chance to close in. This is a pretty close right here, but this one is even closer, and it's for the race lead. Baglin has closed in on Kalesia. The fight for P1, Andrew, is on.
I thought Baglin was going to have a go there down the inside into turn 12, but he's learnt a lot in terms of his racecraft in OK Junior, particularly over the last 12 months. It was this point of the season where I think Noah Baglin really turned a page. You can see how pumped up he is here, willing himself on down the straight. There's the notification that company's under investigation into turn 5. I've got to say, I think turn 12 is the best chance for Baglin. The Pramers have looked very assured on the brakes and on turning through that part of the course. It's kicking off as well for third place. Babacek has caught up to Domain and to Malota, so we're going to have 2 scraps at the front of the field here. But let's just watch here, out of turn 11, how close is Baglin? He's not too far back. Does he think about it? No, just elects to stay there for now.
All right, well, can't move for him right now, but again, into this final sector, we have seen those little moves here and there, and that was an attempt on it as well. Domain looking down the inside of Malota at turn 13 on the banking, but again, the nose just cut off there from the front of him as they exit out of the final corner onto lap number 8 of this race. And it's still Kalesia from Baglin, but Baglin's got to be eyeing up a move now. Up the hill they go, into the braking zone at turn number 5. The attempt could come here, and it does go here. Down the inside for Noah Baglin, and he gets through into the race lead, and with that, he'll gain another few points in that intermediate classification. He is looking to start on the outside of row number 2 right now, but what can he do more? Well, the answer is not anything else, because he's in the lead. He can't score any more points right now. He's just got to think, what can he hold this position all the way to the end?
Another twist in this championship battle. We're getting this class of 4, Domain, Kalesia, Christen and Baglin going back and forth in terms of who's on what day looking good, who's scoring the big points. There's some scrapping going on there with just Mulder trying to come through the field. Baglin's gone. Baglin has disappeared up the road already. Half a lap and he's already got half a second in his back pocket. You could see for the preceding laps that he just looked so much quicker than Kalesia. There's a move down the inside. That's Will Green on Juan Graciase for 8th place. Another nice move from the Williams Academy driver. Asher Oxteen continuing to have a strong weekend, is not too far behind as well. But let's have a look at a replay. This was the move from Baglin. And again, this is what we talked about with the Pramers. They are so good at just drifting in there. The front end of those karts is planted, and that's given Baglin the platform to then make that move. He took a big chunk of curb, though, from turn number 8. He's definitely pushing on here. End of lap number 9, 3 laps to go. New fastest lap of the race from your race leader at 55.558.
Yeah, that is very nicely done there as he continues on this fight. And as we're on lap number 10 now at 12, time very quickly running out as Green again making those moves, this time on Bobrashov. Bobrashov under attack from, well, seemingly everyone at the moment. He's got Juan Garciase for company just behind him. Asher Osteen is there as well. Turner Brown, Manuel Maguez, Jos Mulder and Jesse Phillips all trying to get involved in this one. We'll keep an eye on the field as they progress through on this one. But again, there's been some good gains in this, but no real breakers through the run on this one. And that is drama in the areas at Lucas Bonho, potentially out of this race. And he's currently having a chat with some of the officials down there.
Yeah, and sadly, Gregor Callas is also out of this race from much earlier. And I fear that may mean this run of not making the final for the Swede is going to continue. We're on to lap number 11 now. Baglin's lead is 1.2 seconds, but still some good positions to be had for Danny Babacek in particular, down the inside of Alex Malota, takes 3rd place, defends into turn 6, consolidates that overtake. Another good bit of work from the young driver from Czechia.
Yeah, again, utilising those tyres on board his wagon. He saved them all the way to this last race to really utilise them. He's done just that now, up into 3rd place as Malota goes defensive from Domain, who's going to try and get the switch over here on the exit at turn number 12. Can he get a nose down the inside at turn 13? The answer to that is no, and stays just behind in P5.
I think we're going to have a change of championship lead in this race because Domain has fallen down to 5th place. That means in the IC, he's dropped to 7th. That would be 11 points for Domain. Kalesia's still up in second, is 22. So an 11-point turn would overhaul the 8-point lead that Domain had overnight. So Domain's got to get his overtaking shoes on here, and he's trying to find a way through past Alex Malota there for 4th place, but it could throw him into the clutches of Dean Hoogendoorn. Hoogendoorn has been very, very strong so far this season. We're on the final lap. Again, this is not a day where it'll decide the championship, but it could be a key one in getting momentum or losing momentum.
Yes, indeed. But again, their Domain is keep on trying to get those overtakes back here, but he's under pressure from Hoogendoorn, who's going to switch to the outside here. He will look for the switch over on the exit of the corner. Can he get the nose down the inside? No, is the answer. He stays behind. But out of the final corner, it's Baglin who claims it in a beautiful race there. Noah Baglin clear from Kalesia by 1.7 seconds. Babacek in 3rd from Alex Malota. Domain in P5 from Dean Hoogendoorn. Will Green, Bob Rajov, Osteen and Turner Brown, who rounds out the top 10. They will make their way back to Parc Ferme, and we will do some calculations in the box. There, though, you can see the Superheats. Dan Alaman does start on pole position. Kalesia with that 2nd place will join him on the front row. Chrisen will be on the inside of row number 2, and it will be Baglin who will be on the outside of row number 2 for that final later on today. There's a look at your 4 results. Top 10 we've gone over. Manuel Miguez finishing in P11 from Jos Mulder. Jesse Phillips in 13th from Drew Waltz. Juan Galtiase from Antonio Petonia. Mark Filipenko from Mateo Rivals, who rounds out the top 18. Olivier Sini in 19th place on Henry Constant Kupin, under investigation, but it's still a 7th-place gain to finish inside the top 20 ahead of Brian Bruneau. Angelina Simmons and Nicola Stanley, who had a really good race there. Alessandro Truchot, Emiliano Hernandez, Santiago Diaz de la Vega, Emilia Veshamierska, Mats Ruin, Dia Islami, Zhang Jose rounds out the 30-kart field that finished that race. Gregor Callis retiring, Lucas Bonhomme, Yamato Rousseau, Roland Nagy, Jaguar Tatoja and Case Aziza. That is a very tough run for them, and for a lot of those drivers, they will not be seen in that final later on today, which will have the Swiss driver on pole position. But for your race winner on this one, the best he can muster is a P1 in this, which is a good result, but it's only 4th in the intermediate classifications. Let's have a look at the highlights from that race. A relatively calm start for the field. It would all go wrong, though, for Case Aziza and Jaguar Tatoja right at the beginning of that race. The two of them colliding in the early stages of it, and unfortunately both retiring on the opening lap of that race. The same could be said for Gianmatteo Rousseau and Roland Nagy. They also got caught out in a moment. There was Lucas Bonhomme. He was caught out in an incident. He later retired from the race, and there was, of course, the Gianmatteo Rousseau and Roland Nagy moment. The two Forza teammates, unfortunately, colliding at the start of that race. Eyes focused then on the rest of the field there, as we saw the overtakes coming in thick and fast. Turner Brown having a really good run in that race. So did Maxim Bobrajov with some good gains in the early stages. Bobrajov just dropping down 2 places at the end, but still finishing inside the top 10. Domain really trying in that early stage to try and get the moves done. Unfortunately not going his way. Does finish the race in P5. And only a drop of 3 places from the front row of the grid. Current championship leader might be in some bother going into that final, because he may have lost his championship lead now, but we'll do the maths for that one later on today. Another great driver in that one, Denny Babacek, a 2-place gain for him. Really strong contender for the TEPS Racing team. With those overtakes pushing forward in the early stages of the race. Jos Mulder there you saw very briefly, the AKM Motorsport driver getting those moves as well in that race. But across the line, Noah Baglin for Prema Racing, the young Briton, leads the way at the end of Superheat 2, but 4th overall in the intermediate classifications. That's where he'll be starting for that final later on today, and that's all we've got for the juniors until that final later on today, as the cleanup operation is currently underway. Let's head down to Parc Ferme. Andrew Mather, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Anthony, here with our race winner, Noah Baglin. Wow, Noah, that was some really, really good pace.
Yeah, it's amazing pace here. Hopefully we can do better in the final. Yesterday wasn't the greatest pace, just getting most seconds all the day, so hopefully we can get P1 in the final. We'll see what we can do.
And really good racecraft as well. You were very patient in that race. When did you feel like the move was on?
I wasn't really gaining on Calais because it's quite a hard track when you have the slipstream and you have the dirty air, so I just sent it, and luckily it went well and we made non-contact and we got to P1.
And the convincing manner in which you pulled away as well. I think in the end it was like a 1.5 second lead you had at the end. That must give you some really good feeling for the final later on this afternoon.
Yeah, the pace is great and hopefully we can carry this on to the final.
And the championship battle, it really is emerging with yourself, Eli, and the two Forza drivers. It's a class of 4 at the front, but it keeps going back and forth. Are you enjoying the fight?
Yeah, it's amazing, the fight. Obviously there's loads of drivers into it, so hopefully we can just get the points and do good in the championship.
Thanks for your time, Noah. We'll see you later on, and best luck for the final.
Thank you.
Let's have a little wander. Let's see who else we can find. I'd love to have a little chat with William Kalesia if possible, because at least by my calculations, I think he is now our new championship leader. I think he'll be in the awning. We'll leave it for now. In fact, no, we'll go into technical, see if we can find William. Here he is, another solid haul of points. William, just to have a quick chat with you again, mate. A very good run, new haul of points, and apologies if I've got my maths wrong, but I reckon you're now championship leader.
Yeah, well, all we needed was a good result for the pre-final to get good points for the championship, which we did. Unfortunately, we're lacking a bit of pace at the moment with the kart, which we'll be working on. So let's continue to work on it throughout the afternoon, see what we can gain, and yeah.
How much of that change in pace do you think is down to track conditions? It's continuing to be quite warm here.
Well, to be honest, the track conditions have been quite the same throughout the weekend. Obviously, we've just been trying a couple of things with the car, and also maybe the track's changing a little bit. So we'll see what we can do for the final.
Good stuff, William. I know you'll fight hard. We'll catch you later on.
Thank you.
Good stuff there with William Kalesia. That's the OK Juniors done for their Superheats, but still one to go. Seniors next. Anthony, back to you.
Thank you very much, Andrew Mather down there in Parc Ferme. Yes, indeed, one more race to go before we head to those finals later on today. It is the second of the Superheats for the senior category. Superheat 2, 16 laps at 20.5-kilometre race distance for the drivers. And this one should be a close one because you've got 4 of the top 10 in this race in the championship standings. You've got Costoya, you've got Ramekers, Daniel Keller and Kenzo Craig in all 4 of them start on the first 2 rows on the grid. Second in the championship as well, Joe Turney should be on the grid for this one. Unfortunately, he is missing, and we did go over that earlier on. Unfortunately, that crash for him later in the day yesterday has not seen him take part in this one, and hopefully we see him out again in the near future on track. But for the front runners in this one, for Christian Costoya, the job is simple. Start on the front, get the win, and see what he can do. Third in the championship, third in time qualifying, has 4 qualifying heat wins to his name. His last race of the day yesterday, though, ended in drama, 24th place. Not the results he would have wanted. Kenzo Craigie has certainly been one to keep an eye on as well. 2 qualifying heat wins, has not been outside of the top 10. The driver who currently sits 4th in the championship certainly is a contender into this halfway point of the season to see what he can do. Well, you can see on the banking there, it's a lovely day to pop a wheelie on your electric push bike, and lots of people watching the racing from where they can. Engines fire up then, drivers making their way out onto the circuit. Christian Costoya and Kenzo Craigie locking out the front row for this one. Let's see what they can do from there. Timo Ramekers and Daniel Kelleher will go from row number 2. They'll have Jindra Peschel and Oliver Kinmark. They will lock out row number 3. Row 4 will see Chiara Batig, who had a relatively decent qualifying, 11th overall, and not being outside the top 10. She'll be starting from row number 4. Aston Sharp joining alongside. We'll have Armin Kali Osman and Vladimir Vanikov on row number 5, with Zach Drummond and Peter Stiller on row 6. Dmitry Matviev and Boris Lysen go from row 7. They'll have Fastao Arnardo all on his own on row number 8, with, of course, Joe Turney missing from the grid. Zach Green and Jensen Burnett go from row 9. They will have Alexander Chartier and Clovis Nougarade, who lock out the top 20 on row 10. Federico Rossi and Gino Rocchio round out the top 22 on row 11. Oliver Rasmussen and Leo Nilsson, these drivers are all in the danger zone here and need to have a good result. They start on row number 12. They'll have Klara Kowalczyk and Jon Helder on row 13. Sky Parker and Ella Hakkinen round out row number 14. Eloy Gonzalez and Jakub Kamenek round out the top 30. They go from row 15. And Francois Cadal and Makar Savalev on row 16. Vegard Clementson, Luke Kornda, Rahim Alabai and Zhao Zijun round out the rest of the 36 kart field in this race, but of course only 35 of them, with the missing driver of the 201 Kart Republic machine, Joe Turney, who at this moment is still in hospital, and we do send him all of our best to him and his family. Right, Superheat time, and like we've mentioned, job is clear for Christian Kostoya. Keep that front spot alive and see what he can do in that final later on today. But let's see what happens in this Superheat. It was a pretty feisty one in the last one for the senior category. But still at the moment, it is Scott Marsh who leads that points, and at this moment don't think can be caught by my maths, and I think Andrew's maths. I know we're not the best at maths. Well, Andrew says he's better. I'm terrible at it. But we think it's not going to be happening for any one of these drivers. The best they can do, though, is potentially still start on the front row of the grid, and that's what we're going to find out here as the drivers enter into the tram lines. Are we going first time? It looks a bit shaky, but lights are out, fights on in the senior OK Superheat 2 down in towards turn 1. Craigie right on the outside at turn 1 and 2 as there's pandemonium in the background. Jakub Kamenek has got caught out with Ella Hakkinen, and that's a big shame for them. But at the front, it is Kenzo Craigie who leads the way. He did manage to hold it round the outside there.
Oh, that'll be a good feeling for Kenzo Craigie, as there is the scene, the 212 and the 295. Hakkinen and Kamenek out of this race, as you mentioned there, Anthony. They will not proceed on to the final, but Craigie and Kostoya got into close quarters action yesterday out on circuit. Craigie lost his win on the road in the final heat of the day due to a 5-second penalty. So to get back on course for winning another race here, that is a good feeling indeed. Out of the final corner, very close there between one of the RFMs and a Fusion. Craigie leads from Kostoya. We've got slow boards. Slow procedure has been put out there. I imagine this is for what's happened down at turn number 2, because there's still a bit of work to do down there to allow the race officials and the track workers to do what they need to do. So the race is neutralised. Craigie leads from Kostoya, Ramakas, Kelleher and Kinmark is your top 5 at the moment. The drivers will try and keep the heat in the tyres and head back down the hill. For Kenzo Craigie, this is a familiar position for Christian Kostoya as well. They've both led races with slow procedures earlier on in the race meeting, Anthony.
Yeah, they certainly have, and of course that brings away all the hard work. Let's have a look at that start again. Of course, the two teammates there, Ella Hakkinen and Jakub Kamenek, are the cause of this slow procedure. Kamenek, I think, bearing the brunt of that one. Now, they were starting this one in and around that mid-pack, and just watch them here as they get into that pinch point. Yeah, just collects the rear bumper, unfortunately, and then Ella Hakkinen drives over the arm there of Jakub Kamenek, and that's, I think, the reason why we're seeing a slow procedure, just to make sure he is okay. But glad to see that they're both out of the karts and walking away, but never a nice one. And that is one of these things that causes these sort of problems for the drivers. Of course, we talk a lot about the safety of these karts and everything like that, but when a kart goes up on top of another one, it's so easily done. They're lightweight, the tyres are sticky. When they grab, and then you get things like that.
And particularly when one of them's facing the wrong way, as it were. Some of the body workers, the teams are trying to develop more of an aerodynamic shape, of course, and that's been a big talking point of international karting in 2025, that sometimes they can almost act as a little bit of a ramp in that situation for Kamenik and Hakkinen.
Well, it's again with this new NASA panel that you see out there. Of course, the Paralin designed one NASA panel. I've called it the platypus because it kind of looks like a nostril and then it flares out the front. A lot of the Kart Republics and the Paralins, of course, are all using them. It's a very sturdy one, so it's quite a difficult one.
Opening block, post 2, no further action.
There you have it. No further action from that incident. I think just been declared as too many cuts into one part of the track. We're back green and racing, though. It's a good restart for Craigie. Keep an eye on the rest, though, as they all try to look to the inside. Ramekers and Keller all trying to find a way through, but all denied a chance to get up a position at the restart there as they head down into the braking zone at turn number 5. Once more under green flag conditions onto lap number 3.
Good fighting there from Boris Leisen, trying to move up through the order. Is just inside the top 15 at the moment. Interesting there that Costoy, I think, was more worried about Thibaut Ramekers, had to defend from the Belgian into the first turn. Thibaut Ramekers, who had a brilliant win in one of his heats yesterday, looking to strike once more. One of the Birrells on the move is Vladimir Ivanikov, just getting past Yuri Peschel there for 6th place. Green flags at turn 8 and 9. That's just, again, as a procedure thing, as we are still on the first lap. Oh, but we have got another problem down there on the circuit through turns 13 and 14. It's a DPK and a victory lane. It's Francois Cadal and Vegard Clementson who have collided and had an unscheduled meeting at turn 14. They are both out of this race. The track workers go to work to clear the karts off of the track. The field just coming down through turn number 11 at this point. But a real shame there for Clementson and Cadal. Not how they would want to finish their superheats.
Yeah, Vegard Clementson making his feelings very well known to Francois Cadal down there on the track, but they are under the watchful eyes of the officials down there. Aston Sharp, is he currently making the moves? And here's what happened to Vegard Clementson a moment. Well, he's just on the inside line there. And, oh, dear me, that's quite a hit to the head there. And that, again, that's a prime example of what we talked about earlier on with that first incident with Kamenik and Hakkinen. When these ping up, they just run over the driver. It's just one of these things. Just at this moment, I don't think you could stop in karting.
Yeah, that's we don't like to see that. Hope that Francois Cadal is okay. They both won't make the final, of course. They started on the 16th and 17th rows, so effectively we already know who 5 of the non-qualifiers for this afternoon's centrepiece is. Clementson, Cadal, Hakkinen and Kamenik all started outside the top 36. Joe Turney did not start this race, was just inside the top 36, so he'll drop out, of course, and of course hasn't been medically cleared to race. Meanwhile, back out on circuit, everyone's still trying to scrap out there. Eloy Gonzalez is on the move, is up 13 places to 16th. Leo Nielsen is having a try as well, up to 18th place. That's a gain of 6. Fausto Arnado is your other big mover, up 7 spots, was already in the top 36. That move to 8th place will further solidify his position.
It certainly will do. And yeah, bang on the money there. Some real big movers through that field there, Andrew. Right, keeping a close eye on this one. Elo Gonzalez, there's your graphic, is your biggest one. Like we mentioned, 13 places gained currently into P16. But eyes still focusing on the fight here as they're pushing through the order. You can just see, well, a big chunk of black nose cone there on the front of that Birrell as they're heading through the final sector. Vladimir Ivanikov sporting that one as a lovely close-up shot there as they exit out of that snail section onto the next lap. We'll go on to lap number 8 of this race. We're at the halfway point of it. Still Craigie leading the way and setting a new fastest lap of the race.
This is very impressive from Kento Craigie once again. He's able to take on very quick drivers in this race. At the moment, he would be moving up to second place in the IC. We'll come back to that, though, because this fight between Kinmark and Ivanikov is properly heating up for 5th place. And Danny Keller is looking there as well in 7th place, thinking, well, I'd like to get involved in this action. We're at the halfway point of this race on lap number 8. Another 8 to go. Kinmark's driven really well this week, in my opinion, Anthony.
Yeah, he certainly has. I will not disagree with that. Some solid results. He had spells where he was never outside of the top 5. He did have a P14 in one of them, but after qualifying 14th, you know, that's still a really, really strong set of qualifying heats.
Yeah, and he's looking to get some more points on the board. This is the fight for third place. Thibaut Ramakas and Yuri Peschel. Yuri Peschel seems to have found his feet at the Tony Carter's. Keller down the inside of Ivanikov there. Nice move from the Irishman up to 6th place now in this super heat. Use a bit of the runoff curb on drivers right there. They're free to use that piece of curb. No track limits at that area of the circuit, because you're more track extending really, and you've got to get back on track. If you take it out really far, you effectively create a new chicane for yourself at that point of the track. Back with the fight for third. Ramakas looking under a bit of pressure here from Yuri Peschel. Peschel at the moment looking at a potential 4th row start in the final. Can he make it better though? He's got a 3-point deficit to Pavan. If he can find a way past Ramakas as well, he could switch himself onto the 3rd row of the grid. It's going to be an intriguing battle in the latter stages of this race.
It certainly will do. Keep a close eye on him. Whether or not he'll line up a move through one of these corners, we'll have to wait and see. But he's looking a bit racy out there, isn't he, Peschel? But so far, struggling a little bit out of the exit there at turn 6 and 7 as they head down the hill towards turn 12. Just keep an eye once more on these racing lines. Again, that classic, just switch over to the right-hand side of the circuit, bury it through, and no drama between those two drivers. They stay completely fixated on the racing line. However, the racing lines there was slightly different. Ramakas up high, Peschel down low. I thought he was going for the move there through turn 13, but stays just behind. They exit out of the final corner, back down the start-finish straight. Still very, very close, but Ramakas holding firm at the moment in 3rd place.
Quick update on the points situation. First of all, the intermediate points. Marsh, we know, locked in. P1 will be on pole for the final. Craig is still in 2nd place. Moving up to 2nd place with this performance. We'll get past Kostoya if things stay the way they are. Kumant, Pradir, Ramakas, Pavan and Peschel with the rest of the top 8. The other big news, 158 was the score for Kostoya in the championship points overnight. Another 19 will move him to 177. Joe Turney, of course, not scoring any further points here this weekend, and Martinez having a bit of a struggle out there as well while still circulating through these races. Kostoya, again, if I've got the maths correct here, Anthony, is going to become our new championship leader with this result.
Yeah, indeed. That is going to be the one that we want to see, and keeping a close eye on that fight as once more, well, still no change between these two. They stay line astern. Peschel doing his level best here to try and get involved. The Kinmark and Kelleher battle behind also is starting to heat up. Kinmark under increasing pressure from the drivers behind. Back at the front here, though, Craigie and Kostoya are close. The gap has just come down another full 10th there, Andrew. It's down to half a second.
Well, that's the thing. Kostoya will be aware that if he can put Craigie under a bit of pressure, if he can find a way through, this isn't just for a superheat win. This isn't just for a spot on the grid. It will translate into championship points. And it's effectively a 3 championship point battle here between Craigie and Kostoya. Who's going to take this haul of 22 and start at the outside of row number 1 with Scott Marsh. Another new fastest lap of the race from Kostoya, 52.320. Just looking again further down the order, Eloy Gonzalez still on the move. He's now into P16. That's a gain of 13. Boris Lyson as well has just taken 12th place away from Aston Sharp.
Yeah, indeed, doing my maths as well. Yeah, Kostoya looking like he could be the one to watch in that final later on today, taking that championship lead. He has been obviously gifted a little bit of that one of his rivals not there, of course, and Martinez, who's had a pretty torrid weekend here so far, not being able to really push through that high end of the circuit. All eyes on this, all kicking off a little bit in the background. This is a nice little fight for Oliver Rasmussen, Makar Savalev, Sky Parker, Zhao Journal down in around the 25th spot on the grid. Still showing, Andrew, that the fight's happening all the way around the field right now.
Yeah, a number of drivers knowing that they want to end on a high. Let's have a look at a replay. Whoa, big catch there for Rasmussen. trying to make his way through past Savlev there. Good driving from Sky Park, who's had a strong run this weekend. That's one of the juniors in the pits from earlier on in the morning. Back at the front, we are on lap number 14. 2 to go after this one. Kenzo Craigie keeps responding to the pace from Christian Kostoya. He's holding that lead at about 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second now.
Indeed. Well, it has come down just that little bit more. But like you say, not close enough for a real attack here. I'm loving the shot there as they exit through turns 3 and 4 before the braking zone. Big hit of that curb over the course of it. And you just see how Marsh goes through. This is another moment down the inside. Green just getting that squeezed out of the way. And through the inside there, a nice little run. But the fight's still happening all the way down the order. Emil Gonzalez now up 13 places in this race without overtake.
That was great stuff from Emil Egan there. They're really on the attack, drifting it in through turn 13, showing that aggression. It's made him a real favourite back in his home country of Spain. On to the last lap then. Craigie still holds the lead. It's down to 0.3 again. But it just seems like Craigie's got the measure of Kostoya at the moment. Kostoya very quick through the first couple of corners towards turn 5. Kostoya's surely not going to be close enough on this occasion to have a go. There's still a couple of chances to overtake round this final lap. 5-second penalty for the 2-2-0. That's going to be Jon Helder moving down the order. We'll come back to that in a moment. Craigie's got to get a good run down the hill here towards turn 12. He has got a good run into turn 12. Kostoya is not going to be close enough. That's the biggest opportunity for Kostoya to overtake around this circuit. But Craigie's still got to be super clean and not make any mistakes. This is for the outside of row number 1. Kenzo Craigie bounces back from the disappointment yesterday. He lost one win. Sure, he won't lose this one. Kenzo Craigie wins Superheat B and will be on the front row for the final. He edges out Christian Kostoya across 5 rounds of qualifying heats and these Superheats by 4 intermediate points. That will translate into 3 championship points. Very good work from both Craigie and Kostoya. And Kostoya will have the inside line for row number 2, unless Scott Marsh decides to switch, of course, but the normal way of things, you would expect Christian Kostoya to have a good position on the run into turn 1. There's your provisional results. Craigie from Kostoya, Ramakas in 3rd, Peschel, Kelleher, Ivanikov, Kinmark, Onaro, Drummond and Stiller, all in the top 10. Chiara Batig finishes there in 11th place. We should see Chiara through and into the final. Yes, we will. Boris Lysen in 12th. 13th for Aston Sharp. Dmitry Matviev and Jensen Burnett in the top 15. Biggest mover is Eloy Gonzalez, up 13 spots to 16th. Leo Nielsen gave it a good go as well, up 7 spots to 17th. Bit of a nervous wait to see if the Swede will make the cut for the final. Chartier and Zach Green in the top 20, completed by Gino Rocchio, Klar Kowalczyk, Amikara Osman, Federico Rossi, Bakar Savalev and Jauti Juntek is to 25th. Sky Parker, Oliver Rasmussen, Jon Helder, Luke Kornder, Clovis Nugared and Rahim Alibai are all of your finishers in that one. 31 of them in total. 4 retirements and a did not start. Clementson, Kadal, Hakkinen and Kamenik will not go on to the final. And sadly, of course, we won't see Joe Turney, who's not been medically cleared to race here today. Joe Turney did not start. Here are your highlights. Big move round the outside from Craigie in the early stages. Kamenik and Hakkinen out on the spot there through turn number 2. Craigie had the race lead. Kostoya trying to take it back through turn number 4. Craigie held strong through the first big overtaking area on this circuit. Ramika's a decent start as well, up to P3 in the early stages. Slow boards were brought out to address the scene down at turn number 2. Gave the drivers a little bit of a rest to get ready for the restart at the start of lap number 3. Good moves from Ivanikov, moving up through the order once again. His way to a 6th place finish. Bit of a struggle for Aston Sharp in that race. Fell down the order a few positions. This was how we lost Kadal and Clementson. A bit of a nasty accident there between Clementson and Cadal. Cadal taking a small blow to the head whilst Clemenson's kart spun round. Good work from Oliver Kinmark as well. An enjoyable battle with the likes of Ivanikov and Kelleher. We'll keep going on these highlights on your screens, but right now on Voices, let's head down to Anthony Jordan.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Yes, indeed, quite a feisty little race there right at the start. But Kenzo Craigie, great run for you. Another victory for that one, and you've got a really good starting point for that last race of the day. Are you ready for that challenge? Are you enjoying the weekend?
Yeah, it's been a fantastic weekend so far, so let's try and carry that on into the finals.
Yeah. Oh, nice to see that we're under the shade now. How is it feeling out there temperature-wise? I know it's increasing a little bit, but you're handling it okay?
Yeah, it's pretty hot out there, but you know, once you get out, it's all right. Yeah.
This season's gone pretty okay for you so far. Championship is looking pretty close as well. Are you looking forward to seeing what this midway point can really do for you?
Yeah, obviously it's the midway point of the season now, so yeah, we're obviously looking at the World Championship and to end the year off strong.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Well done, Kenzo. We will see you out there later on today. We've got Thibaut Ramakas just here, Christian Costoya's kart just over there. Let's see if we can jump in with Thibaut on this one. Thibaut, I don't think we've spoken to you so far this weekend, but you've had a great run in these races. How are you feeling going into the final?
I feel confident. The Super was not that good because we had some trouble with the grip, but I think with the new tire and everything, we will fix that, so yeah, confident.
2025 so far has been a strong year for you. Are you looking forward to what's coming up later on this season as well?
Yeah, hopefully I will have some luck to finish more on the podium, but anyway, we will see.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you very much for chatting with us, Thibaut. Well, there we go. We've got all the races done for now until those finals later on. Andrew, when can we expect them to come out on track?
We can expect them out on track with the gates opening at 12:30. The race start will be at 1 o'clock. We'll be with you for all of the build-up here in Viterbo. So we're counting down the clock, 1 hour and 40 minutes to the start of the OK Junior final at 1 o'clock local time. And then, of course, the seniors, the OK final will be at 1:40. The highlight event, 23 laps to decide who is going to be the winner of Champions of the Future Round 3 for 2025. Join us here once again in just over an hour's time for the build-up in Viterbo.